very good evening to you, and welcome to Politics 101 on a Thursday evening. Good evening to all of you who are joining us, wherever you're joining us from. Good evening to you, Yvonne Rodriguez, joining us from Barbados. Good evening to all of you, and welcome to Politics 101. You're joining us from Guyana. Welcome to Politics 101. You're joining us from the wider Caribbean, our Caribbean. Welcome. Welcome to Politics 101. You're joining us from North America. Welcome. If you're joining us from Europe, good night. Good night, good evening to you if you're joining us from Suriname or French Guyana, St. Martin in the Bahamas, wherever you're joining us from. Good evening, good night to all of you. We are still in emancipation mode. In fact, this month is Emancipation Month, and we are continuing to observe emancipation. And we want to say thanks to all those communities that took their time and organized activities to observe emancipation because it's important that we observe that moment, we observe that process. Emancipation, of course, marked the end of formal slavery, but slavery in many other forms, many guises continued. So as we mark 185 years since the end of formal chattel slavery, we are also drawing attention to the process by which the social relations of slavery, by which the scars of bondage have continued. And we use the moment not only to remember, but to draw attention to the present. Good evening. Good evening to all of you. I see some regulars are here already. Onika, Shelly, Larry, um, Shireen, welcome. Welcome to you, Danette. Welcome to you, Danette. I saw some of your friends a few moments ago. You all know the drill by now. Just got back from a funeral in my village. Miss Jean Gill, 92 years old, a fixture in our village, and we laid her to rest today. And of course, you know, the villages, people come out to bid goodbye to our people who served our community and have moved to the great beyond to meet with the ancestors. And it's always a time to meet up with people, meet up with villagers, have a little chat, get a little advice, and so forth. Um, and so I just got back from that, and it's always a pleasure. As I said last night, I spent some time in West Bobis on Emancipation Day in Belladrum, El Dorado, and Golden Fleece, that area, Paradise, sorry. Um, uh, and I promised to go back to West Bobis. Good evening, Ozia. Good evening, coming to us from South Carolina. How about the people down there in the southern United States? South Carolina, Georgia. Lots of you are joining us from Atlanta. Good evening, Donna. Good evening, Cheryl. Charlene, good evening to all of you. I thank you all profusely for staying with us and helping us to do the work that we are supposed to do. As usual, we continue to struggle. We continue to keep the struggle because without struggle, there is no freedom. Without struggle, there is no um, uh, there is no people, because a people who don't struggle, a people who do not struggle, represents a dead people. And we are not dead, we are alive. We have beaten systems, we have beaten enslavement, we've beaten colonialism, we've beaten neocolonialism, and we are fighting, continue to do that good fight. Good evening. Good evening, Marcia. Good evening, Karen. Good evening to all of you who would have contributed to our Emancipation Fund. We want to thank you so much. Want to thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening. And um, this is Dale. Good evening. Sharon. Good evening. Good evening to Mr. Robertson, Thomas Robertson from Atlanta, well, Georgia, and the Atlanta area. Welcome. Please share the link and let's let them know that we are on tonight. And we are going to continue to talk about lessons learned from this emancipation. I was on the the Guyanese morning time this morning with the brother Kidaki, and we started a conversation there, and we intend to continue that conversation because there are some lessons. There are some lessons that we've learned. And one of the lessons that we've learned is that we have to teach this country. We have to sensitize this country about slavery and about the effects of slavery. A lot of our non-African brothers and sisters, and even some of our African brothers and sisters, have taken us for granted. And they've taken us for granted partly out of ignorance, but partly out of bad-mindedness, because some of the leaders know better. They just don't do better. There's been no other experience like the one that we went through, our foreparents went through in Guyana for over 200 years. And if we look at the span of time that slavery lasted in the Western Hemisphere for 400 years. There's been no other experience like that. There have been experiences of oppression that all peoples of the world have had to go through. But the experience of enslavement, chattel slavery, where the human being became a commodity, the human being by law was stripped of his humanity by law. The human being was reduced to property by law. A man goes to gamble. He bets his slaves, human being, black people, African people, my foreparents, your foreparents. And that lasted for 4 centuries, not 4 days or 4 weeks. And during that period, when we were reduced to less than human, we toiled and we worked. We worked and we worked and we worked. No pay. No pay. We had to build Western capitalism, capitalist society, European society, American society. The wealth that they enjoy today is as a result of the free labor of Africans. And people take that for joke. Our condition today can be traced right back to that period. That is why emancipation is so serious for us. And then on Emancipation Day, we have a government that is trying to come into our communities and trying to bully us on Emancipation Day. We know the story of Buxton because it has gone around. The Minister of Culture called and said he wants to come. The Prime Minister's office called and said he's coming. And as acting president, he will speak last. trying to bully us. Of course, we didn't take bullying Buxton. We made it very clear that we will not be bullied. The Prime Minister was welcome to come and sit in the audience and enjoy himself. And because we are a kind of people, I volunteered to give up 5 minutes of my time if he wanted to make remarks. But he would not bully us and tell us that he's coming uninvited and he will speak, and he will speak last. There's nothing else but I pass. And we were having none of it. It is the kind of domination that we have experienced under PPP government, but the worst of it is under this present government. How dare you, on our sacred day, choosing to impose yourself and apparently this is what they did across Guyana. Because on Emancipation Day, I went up to Bobis. I went to Belladrum. I spent last year there. And I decided that I was going to spend this year Emancipation Day in Belladrum. And as I got there with my friends and comrades, we were greeted with some angry villagers telling us that the Minister of Public Service, Sonia Parag, is inside. Like the Prime Minister was trying to do with Buxton, she went there uninvited, imposed herself. People are angry. One lady came up to me, she said, Dr. Ames, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of the oppression of these people. She lost her job, her livelihood. And to watch those people walk into Belladrum on Emancipation Day, the people of Belladrum couldn't take it. And I felt I had the responsibility to try to represent the feelings of those people. I'm not from Belladrum. But those people could have been from the village that I come from. Their frustration, the women, they were angry, and they had every right to be angry. A government that puts its heels on their stomach, kneel on their stomach every day, and then on their day, when they want to sing and dance and talk and make merriment among themselves, here they are bullying their way. I am not from Belladrum. I'm not an elected leader. Nobody elected me. But I felt that I had the responsibility to say something on behalf of those people. On behalf of those people at Belladrum. And so when they called on me to make my remarks, I had to change what I wanted to say and to say something on those people's behalf. And I think that there are those in the halls of power who misunderstand the history of this country. And they seek to make the African crawl for something. You all are here in West Bobis. You all know the lines that you all have to line up in to go for pittance. I want to say this afternoon that we must demand our fair share, our equal share of the wealth of this country. Are you hearing me? Our equal share of the wealth of this country. And we want to say that power is not made by man. Power is something that is earned. It is you, the people, who construct power and give some of us that power to exercise on our behalf. I want to say, on this 185th anniversary that we have taken, I pass for too long. I pass from the colonialists and I pass from the new colonialists. And as Marcus Garvey said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only you yourself can do it. There's some simple things. Stop killing our boy children. Stop killing them. Stop using our boys in the police force to kill their brothers. Stop it. Stop it. I want to say that we are a respectful people. I see Madam Minister here this afternoon. And I know, Madam Minister, there is some controversy about your presence here. Because when there is Diwali and Pakwa, they would invite me to come and sit. I have never gotten an invitation. But I want to say, we Africans are a respectful people. And so, despite our anger at those whom you represent, we still welcome you here today. And we want to give you the message to take back on behalf of these beautiful people, to treat them with dignity. Treat them with dignity. I had the experience at Boston last night, and I'm going to stop with this. We had our program at Boston last night. We have been doing it for 54 years. No party, no government has ever told us what to do. And we got a call from the Minister of Culture yesterday afternoon. We got another call from the Prime Minister's office. And the chairman asked them to contact me as the coordinator of the program. The Prime Minister's office called me. And they said the Prime Minister says that as the acting president, he is coming to Boston and he will be the last speaker. I contained myself. And I said politely, this is a Boston program. And we have our program. We invited Mr. Aubrey Norton to be the guest speaker. I was going to speak as an elder of the village. And we will not allow the Prime Minister and acting president to impose himself on our village. We did not stop trade for anybody to impose themselves on us. But I said, if the Prime Minister showed up, I will give 5 minutes of my time for him to give remarks, because we are a manly people. 10 minutes later, I got a call that the Prime Minister is no longer coming. Madam Minister, please tell the government, don't try to dominate us. How can you, on the eve of our sacred program, call and tell us you come in and you must speak last? Boston didn't allow Papa. Maybe other villages didn't have strength and the presence of mind to stop it. Please tell your seniors that people are wonderful people and dignified people. Treat us that way. If you pave roads everywhere. If you give in handouts, give handouts everywhere. If a minister is charged, is accused of raping a child, let that minister face the law. Because if David Hayes or Hamilton Green is charged with, is accused of raping a child, they will put us in jail the next hour and charge us and put us before the court. So I want to give you that message. I take it upon myself on behalf of these people and that people all over this country to give you that message. Please tell your seniors, enough is enough. And as my elder of a time gone by once said, this confounded nonsense must stop. Thank you. So, so, so you heard it there yourselves. That was not the message. That was not the speech I planned to give there. But sometimes one has to give leadership. Sometimes one has to do what one has to do on behalf of your people. I think it was the height of IPAS. After all that they have done to us to show up on our day and impose themselves on us. And I heard the people of Belgium, and I felt that I had to let them speak through me. And I did that. I have no regrets. I went there to speak about Black people and our struggle, about emancipation and what it means. But when I looked in the faces of those mainly women, men too, but mainly women, and I look at the anger in their faces, I looked at the frustration, I looked at the determination. I felt I had to say what I said. And I hope that those of you who heard me tonight, who heard what I said tonight, would do as the people of Belgium did, endorse my remarks. And I think wherever those people go, they must be given that message. I am not afraid. And I don't want you all to be afraid. We have been disrespected too long. We have been disrespected too long. And all I want to do is to be an example to our people and our leaders. We don't have guns, we don't have bombs, but we have our dignity. We have our pride. We have God on our side. And our leaders have to speak up for us. I am glad the ancestors sent me to Belgium on Tuesday. I am glad because I got a chance to speak directly to a representative of power. And the young lady sat there, the first time I'm seeing her in person. Many people felt that she was going to walk out, but she sat there. And she didn't impose herself. She didn't ask to speak. She was asked to give some remarks to the children who were being honored for their performances at the recent grade 6 exam. And she was asked to say something to them. And she chose the opportunity to make some general remarks, but she was respectful. She was respectful to Hamilton Green. She was respectful to me, despite the tongue lashing that I gave her government. She was respectful to the people. And the example, the lesson, is that if we want respect as a Black people, as members of the opposition, we have to demand it. That's the example I want to set. I did not suffer through poverty, watch my parents, my guardians, punish to send me to school. And now that I have some schooling, that I sit back and allow people to take their eyes and pass my people. No, I will not still my voice, to quote Martin Carter. I have too much to claim. So if you see me looking at your hands or listening when you speak, know that I look for fire. I've learned from books, dear friend, of men hungering in a room without any light, of men who could not die because death was far too poor. So, if you see me looking at your hands or listening when you speak or marching in your ranks, know that I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world. Those are the words of Martin Carter in a simple poem called Looking at Your Hands. I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world. Dream to change the condition of our people. I want to be an example of what those who have benefited from the sacrifices of ordinary people, poor Black people, of what they should be. And I want to call on all my so-called leaders, fellow leaders, whether you're leaders in education or leaders in politics or leaders in culture, stop. Stop being afraid to speak. Your people are being beaten. They're being muzzled. On their day, they're being bullied. Where have all the flowers gone? Our flowers. We have to do what we have to do. And we have to say, and I am not hiding to say what we have to say. We worked for 200 and odd years without pay. Our parents, our foreparents were not paid. We not only worked for 200 and odd years, but in 1834, when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, they did not open the gates of the plantation. They kept us in bondage for another 4 years. And in those 4 years, they made us work. And they took the money that we worked for and give it as reparations to the planters. the plantation owners. That's what the British did. We were able to siphon off a little. And with that little, our foreparents were able to buy land and use that land to humanize Guyana, that others who came afterwards could come as human beings, not as chattel. Oh my God! No thanks for us! And some of the asses, David Hines, feel that black people, and oh yes, we're entitled. We're entitled not to what you have. We're entitled to what the hell the state of Guyana owes us for 240 years of labor. That's what we're entitled to. I don't want anything from Irfan Ali or Jack Dio or whoever it is. You owe me nothing. You owe black people nothing. You owe us nothing. But since you have been imposed as the managers of the state, it is the state of Guyana that owes us for 240 years of free labor. The state of Guyana, they owe us. And you are in charge of that state, and you are pilfering the money of the state that is coming out through the oil. You are thieving from us black people. Because the state owes us. And when you owe your debt, when you get money, the first thing you do is pay off your big debt. And instead of you all paying black people what you all owe them, you're siphoning off the money to your friends, your cronies, and you give a little trickle to the ordinary Indian people, and you want black people to crawl on their bellies to come to get a little pittance. What manner of people are you? First people who should have been given anything was the African people. You owe Indian people, yes. You owe Amerindians, yes. You owe Chinese and Portuguese, yes. But you owe black people more. And I am not going to do like my fellow leaders and couch my language because I want some vote somewhere. I shall not trade the dignity of black people for votes. I think it's wrong and it's immoral. And every time I hear our leaders do that, I cringe. Look for votes. We have to have votes. Good evening, Auntie Brenda. Good evening, Auntie Brenda. I still don't make it yet for me, Marby, but I will make it. Every time I hear our leaders fudging the language, yes, I will look for votes for elections. But what you owe my people, what you owe my people should not be traded for some vote. Black people are the entitled. Oh yes, we are entitled. You all go say, David Hines say so. We're not entitled to what belongs to somebody else. You're entitled to what belongs to us as black people. And we are going to fight. And those of us who have a microphone given to us by the blood, the sweat, the toil, the sacrifices, and the love of our people, We must use that microphone not to talk nonsense, not to engage in political masturbation, but to be serious. Give me what belongs to me, and when you finish doing that, we're going to talk about crossover vote and all the other nonsense. There's a time and a season for everything. And that is what this emancipation has taught me. That we have a lot of work to do, including work on our own people. Our demands must be loud and clear. Our health afflictions today is because of slavery. Our lack of access to an education that resembles us, an education in which we can see ourselves, read about ourselves. We don't get that kind of education because of slavery. Thank God for the poet. Thank God for the reggae singer. Thank God for the calypsonian who are able to give us words of wisdom. Because the education system doesn't teach about us. I write books, I write articles, I write things. I write for white people. The University of Guyana doesn't ask me to write anything for them. We are educating our people the wrong way. We are miseducating our people, and all of that is part of the scars of bondage. You travel through the coast of Guyana, you know when you're passing through a black village. Just look at the roads. Just look at the roads. When you take into consideration those canals, those roads, those roadways, they were all constructed by African people using their own monies. I say to you all black people, wake up. Wake up and demand. I don't chant down our people. Even when they would have made some silly mistakes, I don't chant them down. I watch some black people make deals with the devil, make deals with those who want to put us in bondage again. I cry for them, but I don't chant them down. I hear even politicians say, take the money and then vote, you know we're going to put your X. But you all see what's happening? When you take the money, they take out your picture, they put on a red jersey on you, and they shame you to your family, your friends, and your community. They make you go in the polling booth and take out a picture of how you vote. They have made you slaves again. That is why I don't get into that nonsense. But take the money, and you know where you're going to put the X. Of course, you know where you're going to put the X. But between taking the money and putting the X, they reduce you to clowns. They reduce you to slaves. They make you do things against your will. They put a box of cook-up in your hand and take out your picture. They make you sell your vote. Your vote next to your mother, your father, your picnic, your family is your vote. After your mother, your father, your picnic, your family, your God, after your God and your family is your vote. And there are people who are coming into your communities and buying your vote for a penny. I don't chant you down, but I'm going to try to empower you not to do it. Those of you who did it the other day, do not do it again. And I want more leaders to stop talking that nonsense talk. Take their money. And you know where you're going to put the X in the process. You're prostituting yourself against bigger prostitutes, political prostitutes. We've got to straighten the crooked roads, not just the physical roads, but the mental roads. We've got to straighten them. Black people, I don't want to spend the rest of my life trying to lift you up and to help you to break down the walls of racism. Maybe we want to talk a little bit about gender and feminism. Maybe I want to talk more about poverty and poor people in general, black, brown, white. But at this time, when they're loading it on you because you're black like me, we've got to spend our energies there. Don't tell me about crossover votes, because when the government changes in 2 years and the new government comes in and it starts carrying blows to Indian people, just like how this Indian government is carrying blows to black people, don't they know that when the tables turn, their people are likely to be the victims of blows? Indian people will find me. All of them who come in here and talking nonsense, they will say, Dr. Hines, why aren't you speaking up? Today I'm speaking up for black people. They call me a racist. Tomorrow, when the tables turn, and they're already receiving, and God forbid, because I don't like the politics of revenge. I don't. I hope the new government comes in and governs fairly. But I know they will be under pressure to revenge, and there will be some revenge. And Indian people who curse me today will come knocking at my door. Dr. Hines, speak up, speak up. So I'm not worried tonight about what Indian people think about me and so on. I know Indian people are honorable people, but they too are caught up in the politics of the times. Three years ago, I was on the front page of the Kaichor News 2-3 times a week because I was ponging the Granger government for what they were doing wrong. Today, I'm ponging this government for what they're doing wrong, and I am a racist. I can't even see the back page of the Kaichor News. This is the cruel society that we live in, but I understand it. And I'm asking you all, our people, to start moving differently. Sometimes we chain ourselves to political parties. I understand, because power comes through political parties. Sometimes we chain ourselves to the political party. at our peril, because the political party can only go thus far. All the complaints I get, Dr. Hines, where the parliamentarians, whether there, you try to get some of them to come on to programs, this program, to go speak at they can't, because they can't go against the party line. They can't be seen to be too black. The blackest they will get is to put on the kente coat. That's as black as they will get. We chain ourselves to the political party. I understand. But man shall not live by bread alone. We've got to fight on all fronts. Don't weaken the political party, but don't weaken yourselves by clinging only to the political party. Emancipation come again. Emancipation is here again. And it must remind us over and over again of what we face in Guyana. What is Sonia Parag doing at Belladrum on Emancipation Day? What is the Prime Minister Mark Phillips doing, calling Buxton and telling us that he coming to talk and he gonna talk last? They're driven by the notion of domination. They feel that we are already back on the plantation. That's how the slave masters behave. The slave masters didn't ask us. The slave masters crashed our party every day. You think I will go to Diwali and tell them I come in and I will be a speaker and the last speaker? Oh no. I got too much manners. There's a limit to which you go. Have you all ever heard me talk about what Indian people need to do and all of that business? No. Indian people have their leaders. Indian people have their rituals. It is not my business to get in between that. I engage my Indian brothers and sisters as fellow Guyanese. But insofar as they're Indians, I do not meddle in their Indian business. But every Tom, Dick, Harilal, and Halilal want to meddle in black people business and tell us what to do. You all got to decide whether that's how you all want to live. And I know that you all don't want to live like that. Next week, Thursday, at 6:30 in Buxton, we are putting up a contingent. Vincent Alexander, Nigel London, Nigel Hughes, Rosedale Ford, Dwayne Benjamin, he's going to be the moderator. I will be there. Simona Brooms, G.H.K. Lal, an Indian Guyanese brother. He's invited. The theme of our symposium is centering racial equality in an oil-rich Guyana. We're not asking for racial superiority. Somebody called me the other morning. The Guyanese critic is playing my speech at Buxton, in which I said, God put the wealth in the earth. Critic said, he can't be talking about an Indian God or it's a black God he's talking about. And we saying to black people, is all the wealth belong to us? I called critic and I said, did you listen to my entire speech? He said, no. He said, I'm guilty. I just take out one piece on a plate. And he invited me to go on his program. I should have gone this morning, but I had to be on Kedaki. And I'm going there tomorrow. Because I'm not afraid of going anywhere. I'm not afraid of facing any man when it comes to speaking the truth, especially the truth about my own people. And I'm going to go there and say what I'm saying here because I have nothing to hide. I don't have one message here and one message at another place. It's the same message. But you see what the plan is. I use the concept of God because God is universal. I followed what I said, that God put the wealth in the earth. I followed by saying, and all Guyanese must share equal. I didn't say it was man who put the wealth there, because then you'll ask whether it's a Portuguese man put it there, or a Chinese man, or a black man, or an Indian man, or an Amerindian man. I said God, because God is universal. But yet, they report by cutting out 1 minute and said David Hines telling black people at Buxton that is a black God that put it there, and therefore all the oil well belong to them. That's what they do. That's what they do. The critic went on to say, I don't know, these banner always talking everything but race. And then for the next hour, he went on to talk about race for the next hour. So the issue is not that they talk about race, it's when black people talk about race. That's what the problem is. Somebody called in and said that Indian people are making noise about the road they built at Pontrench Dam or Lane Avenue or somewhere. And critic said, Banner, that's Indian greed, not David Hines. These chaps know what's going on. If you think if I say Indian greed, they're gonna be splashing it, the police coming knocking at my door, the ERC gonna be summoning me if I talk about Indian greed. But you all know what the plan is. Give black people some crumbs, get Indian people vexed, and say you're all giving up everything to black people. Give black people a penny, get Indian vexed and say you are giving anything to black people. And then you turn to Indian people and say, all right, we're not giving away, and you give them 2 billion. So you give penny 2 cents to black people to get Indian people vexed. And then you use that opportunity to give them 2 million or 200 million. That's it. That's a cynicism that's going on. Because you hear now, Indians are saying, you are not paying attention to us, you are giving black people. But it's a game. It's a game the government is playing. And that's why I'm saying some black people are out of their minds. I'm not saying that if the government gives you some handouts not to take it, but understand, do not be thankful for it. They owe you a billion times that. Do not be thankful for it. If you want thank God. Some pine drinker drinking. If you want to thank somebody, thank God. You don't have to thank Jack Dio and our finale. Look, the $200,000 that they're giving people for business. Look the lines and look to see who in the lines. My brothers and sisters, you all try to understand what's going on. It's tricking. They know where they want to give the money. But they get a few you all to go and get a 200,000, take out your old picture. But they know where they want the 200,000 to go to. We are in trouble. We've been in trouble many times before. And we have found a way to get ourselves out of it. And we're going to get out of this. Dr. Roger Luncheon has passed on. I give my condolences to him, to his family, sorry. He was a black man in the PPP. I understand that he was sympathetic to our causes, but he couldn't let the bosses know. I've heard that from people close to him. I remember in 1983, after coming out of prison, spending 3 years and 3 months, the first thing the WPA leaders did was that they took me to a doctor for checkup, and the doctor was Dr. Luncheon. I came out of prison, I think, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. They carried me, Dr. Luncheon examined me, checked me up, as we would say. And then I went back for checkup for the next few months. I remember that 40 years ago. And I thank him. I never spoke with him after then. I saw him and said hi there. I've heard from people that he was not an obnoxious person. I've heard from people in Washington, D.C. who knew him when he was a student and a doctor at Howard University. And they said he was not an unpleasant person. In any case, our African tradition says that when death comes, enemy stops. You all know in the village, you don't talk to Miss Pauline, but when she dies, you go to the funeral. Our condolences to the family of Dr. Luncheon. Whatever good he did, may the ancestors give him his due when he gets there. As I said this morning on Kadaki's program, Africans who go into the PPP go in as individuals. They don't go in as a group. So they do not represent group interests in the PPP. They represent their individual interests because they go in as individuals. It's not like in the Democratic Party in America, you have the Black Caucus, which is in the Democratic Party to represent Black interests. We don't have a Black caucus in the PPP or an Indian caucus in the PNC. So Black people in the PPP don't represent Black interests. They do like this, the house slaves used to do. The field slave would creep up to the back door and they throw some little food from the kitchen and give them. But they had to hide from master to do that. And that's what I understand people like Luncheon and others, they would give some things to some Black people, but they had to hide to do it. But God bless him, and may his soul find rest and peace in heaven and among the ancestors. We are a respectful people. When death comes, enemy stops. We've got work to do. And we're coming from Buxton next week, Thursday. Large team. Because I think they have to see that Black people are united. What we wanted to do with that symposium and what we wanted to do with the team that we have there was to make sure that all the various tendencies in the Black community are represented, not just political parties, because it was less about political parties, but the various viewpoints, the various outlooks must be represented on that platform. We want to show the opposition how to fight. Let us get plenty thing, PNC type of thing. They don't invite me. That's all right. I use WPA. And they don't invite me. It don't bother me. But I want to be an example to them as to how we fight. There's a time when we fight as party, and there's a time we fight as all opposition, or we fight as Africans. That's what I want to teach my fellow leaders. Our people must look there. And if you're radical, you must look at Pastor London and say, he represents me, the Black radical. When you look at Nigel Hughes, middle class lawyer, but throws out his belly for poor people, and you must say, he represents what I stand for. And you look at Simona Brooms, fire, Black woman fire, and you say, she represents me. And you look at the GHK Lal, an Indian in a Black house, invited. Yes, we invited him. He may not represent us phenotypically. He may not even represent us ideologically. But we can look at him and say, there is a friend. And I'd rather that friend into my house than a friend like Jack Dew. We are not against Indians. We are not against Indian voices. We welcome Indian voices in our midst. After all, we share this space. But we don't want Indians who bully us. We don't want Indians who talk down to us. We don't want Indians who disrespect us. As I said this morning, Brother Glenn Lal is opposing this government on oil, and we must congratulate him for that. But we must also recognize that Brother Glenlal is not resisting this government. He's opposing this government. But he's not resisting the government because Brother Glenlal doesn't talk about how the money is going to be distributed. He says we must get a better deal from oil. Fair enough. Good enough, that's good. And we should support him on that. But we must see that he doesn't go beyond that. And I'm not saying that to say do not support his fight to get a better oil contract. But do not be fooled. What Brother Bob Marley said? I don't want my people to be contrary. Brother, you're right. You're so right. We got to fight. We got to fight. Because I don't want my people to be tricked by mercenaries. I'm not saying that Brother Glenn is a mercenary. That's not what I'm saying. Brother Glenn is doing good work in opposing the government on oil. But our work has to go beyond that. We have to resist the authoritarianism of this government, the dictatorship of this government, the bullying of this government, and only we can do it. Clean the scales from our eyes. Brother Glenn is an ally. But don't get it twisted. Some of you all went and give them little party your votes. Because we like new shiny things. New party come on the block. When we don't give them the vote, they take the vote, they go in parliament, and they join the thing, and they're gone with the PPP. They take away the deputy speaker in the parliament from a PNC person, a coalition person, and they give it to the little party. Some of you all did vote for them because you all fall for it. You all must learn to admire what people do, to support what people do, but to understand. Understand. You all fight has to be you all fight. You got to know where you stand in the struggle. Where you are and where you stand in the struggle. Because this is a struggle. This is a struggle. Hear people talk about, Glenlal want to form a third party. And blah, blah. We got third party in the opposition. We get third party on we side. WPA is a third party. You're not going to go nowhere to look for third party if you all want one. AFC is a third party. You're not going to look for third party somewhere else. You'll get third party talking on your behalf, fighting on your behalf every single day. I'm not saying don't support Glenlal, Support is opposition. But opposition must not be mistaken for resistance. When you resist, you're saying that I do not respect your legitimacy because you're beating me up. And I'm going to resist you until you go. When you say I oppose you, it means I'm taking a minimalist position. I oppose you on the contract. And whatever else you do, there's no opposition there. Know where we are, know who you are, and know where you stand in the struggle. We're not giving up. This is no time to give up, Dennis. No time to give up, Cheryl. No time to give up. Miranda, whoever you are, whether you're a man, woman, child, or whoever you are, you come on here and you play the PPP line, and I don't like to block people. If you're a PPP, it's your right to be a PPP. But don't come here and molest Miranda Brown. Do not come here and molest our people. I ain't playing that. I am not playing that. From now on, you are going to respect our people. We don't go on PPP program and be chatting nonsense and playing trolls and all those kind of things. And if you all come in here, you all come here to do something, learn. Because that's what we do. We have been teachers ever since we were on the plantation. And you all can learn a lot. And you all do learn a lot. But behave yourselves. Behave yourselves. Or else I'm going to block you. All right? Behave yourself. Miranda Brown. All right. We come in peace. Cheryl, good evening. Karen, good evening. Don't allow these people to distract you all. As I said, it must be a hell of a thing to leave here and then you go to Sherrod, you do the same thing. You go to Mark, you do the same thing. And then at 10 o'clock tonight, you're tired and your children don't have their supper because you are busy on this program trying to interfere with black people. And you're going to tell your children, Mommy, why you so tired? Daddy, why you so tired? Oh, Lord, I start since 7 o'clock interfering with black people. Hell of a way to live. I love you all, and I will continue to do so. We're going to teach each other. We're going to learn from each other. We're going to mobilize each other because we have a date with destiny. That date with destiny is the removal of this installed regime and to put in its place a national government that is fair to all the people of this country. And give us our due. We want our equal share. And we're going to get it. Tomorrow night, bright and early, we'll be here again. We'll be here again tomorrow night. Those in the halls of power who misunderstand the history of this country and they seek to make the African crawl for something. You all are here in West Bobis. You all know the lines that you all have to line up in to go for pittance. I want to say this afternoon that we must demand our fair share. Was done to speak as an elder of the village. And we want him to give remarks because we are a manly people. 10 minutes later, I got a call that the Prime Minister is no longer coming. Madam Minister, please tell the government, don't try to dominate us. How can you, on the eve of our sacred program, call and tell us you come in and you must speak last? While standing alone properly. Maybe other villages didn't have the strength and the presence of mind to stop it. Please tell your seniors that people are one wonderful people and the dignified people treat us that way. If you pave roads everywhere. If you give in handouts, give handouts everywhere. If a minister is charged, is accused of raping a child, let that minister face the law. Because if David Hines or Hamilton Green is charged is accused of raping a child, they will put us in jail in next hour and charge us and put us before the court. So I want to give you that message. I take it upon myself on behalf of these people and that people all over this country to give you that message. Please tell your seniors, enough is enough. And as my elder of a time gone by once said, this confounded nonsense